Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more Stationeers. Look at this! It magically changed. Sorry, I just started recording again, but it turns out that there is another version of this stacker, and it's an unloader. I can't believe I didn't realise that, and power and data are out through there. People have pointed out we're going to need a computer. So this is the first unit that we're going to pass through into an unloader. Cool. And then it'll be this sorter, I suppose. But the sorter only has one version. So essentially the most important thing, because we're going to have our gas containment small. Seems some of you are having difficulty understanding what I'm doing. Whereas some of you have come to my rescue, thank you. And while you don't necessarily agree with what I'm doing, you understand it, which is awesome. This is how we should all intellectually interact with each other. But I'm not going to airlock it so much as I'm probably going to have a single door. But just to clarify, for those that either don't understand truly or are being facetious, like, if, I don't know, say you were in an interview or pitching how you're going to do your project design, they go, okay, so you have a chute system that is carrying ice that under no circumstances can state change. That's an identified weakness in the system because there can be heat exchange through these chutes and that. What is your solution? And then I sit down and I go, well, I'm going to make a contained area. I'm going to fill it with something pollutant because it has the best heat capacity, you know, and I'm going to keep that super cooled through another system so that it's always surrounded essentially in a buffer environment of cooling, right? Forget the airlock or anything like that, even if it was just a 1x1 block. That critical area where there's ice in the chutes and we can't insulate the chutes. And they go, good for you, cool, here's your funding, you win the tender. Now if you're the other bloke that is confused, and you know, if it's genuine, fair enough, no offense. But I feel like I'm getting poked at because I'm just not doing it some people's way. They're like, okay, cool, so what's your answer? And they go, I'll put it out of sunlight and keep it in vacuum. Really? That's how you're going to guarantee that it's never going to change state? What if I weld near it? What if a bit of errant jetpack gas comes out? What if I accidentally flush my suit? What if a million things? What if, I don't know, I'm holding a bit of gas up here and it accidentally sublimates the water and it drops down. I've seen it drop down in water state into this tunnel before, sort of. Well, not this one. And then what if that gets in there and then that initiates heat exchange between the gas that you introduced into this vacuum and the chute wall? Because that could happen. That will happen. Or even if it won't happen, the answer is, oh, don't worry about it. Anyway, I know I'm poking and prodding, but it just seems like maybe in all honest truth, some people aren't really fully comprehending what I'm doing by creating this cooling boundary around the chute, because that is the most vulnerable part of the system. It makes sense. If you've worked in engineering, this sort of thing makes sense as well. Alright, so anyway, I was making a pretty complicated airlock because I do like access, but it also occurs to me, I've never really thought about airlock theory and why is an airlock? That sort of thing, right? A lot of it is about maintaining the conditions of the gas inside wherever you're going, right? That's why you pass through an airlock, right? You have it recycle and all that, but on the other side, it's still, you know, say we had a big base with 6 blokes in here and they're all running around breathing while I'm using the airlock. That's not necessary here. All that's necessary is that I have access, but we also are worrying about the sort of cooling boundary. So if I was doing what I could hypothetically do, I would say, let's just do this for the sake of, how about we go with wrench? Alright, let's, I don't know, we could put it like that. Maybe even composite door, to be honest, not a roll cover. Right? Just imagine this one square block, we're going to be able to fit our sorter, splitter and all that sort of stuff. We might not, but we'll see. But say this is our gas room here. All we would need is this one door. To seal it, close it, it's doing its operation, we've got our gas environment in there, and on the outside, on maybe this wall or whatever, I could potentially have like a switch, like a sort of a fan vacuum control where we could just drain this down to vacuum potentially into a tank or something, then I can open it up and come in, and if maintenance needs to be done, whatever, you know? That would probably be a much more compact and simple solution to the problem. We could just drain out the room, because it's only going to be a small environment. So that's where we're at, basically. But we've still got a while ahead of us, because we're going to have to get into a computer. We have to make a computer and program from there. So, unloader. That'll be one of the first things that we need to put this through. Now, I mean, I could just put it there, I suppose, but we'll just do that. We'll start getting the swing of things, right? So essentially it's going to put it through there, and it's going to unload into a chute section. Oh, there you go. I've got one chute, so we'll just pop that there for the moment. Right? This is the vulnerable chute there. Having said that, I don't know what the boundary is like here. So, like, I thought about, I could put this on the other side of this wall, potentially. But when it crosses over the wall, you just don't really... We don't know for sure in the game's mechanics where it, like, have a look at that bit of exposed chute. We don't really know where it's gonna... Actually, even looking at that, you could probably see the wall would... Well, not for that chute, but it'd be halfway through that. But who's to say that it could melt there? No, it makes much more sense to put this thing inside the room. That's the other thing as well. It's going to have a power cable, and it's a machine that operates. Presumably, in this game, it generates some sort of waste heat as well. By operating. Surely, right? Even if it doesn't in this game, it would in real life. So this kind of just supports my... having a cooling boundary. So we'll have to rig that in. Alright. And then we're going to have like a splitter. And here's one I prepared earlier. A sorter. No. Yeah, oh, well, yeah, that's what it is. Alright, it'll be something like that, I suppose, right? Maybe if I actually connected it correctly. We're sort of blocking. It's like blocking a scene in acting, I suppose, right? We're trying to get an idea of how much space we need. And ultimately, because this is about the gas boundary that we're creating, we need to do a his/her. It needs to be everything else, which would be the, you know, like iron or the belt itself, and then ice. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure the computer will let me blacklist and whitelist certain things, but ultimately we need to separate the meltables, right? Of which there should only really be 3, and then everything else, right? So then the meltables will have to go to a fern. Well, hang on a sec. Because we need to split. Do we put all the meltables through the same furnace process? That's dangerous. As discussed, we should separate the hydrogen out as soon as possible. That should be one of the first things that we do. Or whatever you want to call it, the H2, the combustible, the volatile. We need to put it on its own sort of track. Alright, so if we want to do that, we would need 2 chomping furnaces. I don't know what else to call them. One's for the hydrogen, and the other would be for the oxide and ice, right? So within this boundary, we would need 2 furnace kits. So and who knows? You know, this might come back to the people I was sort of gently having a go at. It's more like one person. Maybe they would think that it's okay to put it all through the same thing. And I'm just, like I said, I'm used to working with safety systems and creating redundancy so people don't get blown up. Oh, look, my poor potatoes. So there might be a bit of a difference of opinion there. Alright, so furnace. Furnace, there it is. It's going to cost so much iron. Contents. Is there any iron left down here, you reckon? I had a feeling I saw the tiniest little sliver of one. Right. And to add another layer as well, like creating redundant safety systems, I find fun. And again, that's probably painted bias by my industry background and experience. Like I said, you've probably seen other playthroughs that I've done previously where I'm building like access corridors and musing about the idea of building like a central sort of command DC room, or damage control room rather, so you can tell like I'm bringing my past and experience into it and what I find interesting, and creating things like, you know, emergency control systems and then sort of manual redundancies as well. So you'd have something like a remote sprinkler system to dump CO2 into an engine room, that sort of thing. That these are concepts that I've played with the idea of and I find interesting. And look, I don't know, each to their own. Maybe some just find the idea of trying to make something hyper efficient and cutting as many corners as possible to, I don't know, miniaturize or something like that. Maybe that might be other people's interests, and that could be the fundamental sort of inflection point where maybe some don't necessarily agree with my build. But at the very least, I think an honest operator would understand what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But if for some reason you genuinely can't understand what I'm doing, make yourself heard, because I'll do my best to explain it. But I feel like I've actually been pretty thorough. And that's why I feel like, you know, I don't ever want to accuse anyone of, you know, feigning ignorance or anything like that. But I'm quite happy to admit that maybe I haven't explained certain components of my build well enough. And in that case, put your hand up and ask for help and say, what are you doing? I truly, heart of hearts, don't understand what you're doing. And I will set it straight, sort of thing. But I think on the other side, if you feel that I've explained myself quite well, let me know that as well, because that sort of feedback helps. You know, again, I'm not an authority. I'm just doing my build and I'm trying to explain what I'm doing. And on a certain level, to some people, I'm in the teacher role. Not that I'm trying to teach, but if I'm doing stuff that people haven't thought of or don't understand, you know, I want to explain myself. Anyway, but I'm pretty sure we already have that environment set up, so not to worry. I probably should fix these potatoes, hey? We'll get to it. One thing at a time. We'll do it on the next night. Oh, excuse me. Alright. Oh, Christ, even more. You know what, we'll do a full 50 block. Let's go. Yeah, so... having said that, I'm trying my best. That's why I'm blocking all this out. I'm trying to miniaturize the build. But it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to get around it. Now, that's the other thing. I don't know if one square to unpack is going to be sort of big enough. I guess we're just throwing a belt in. I don't think we'll ever be throwing anything but a belt in there, right? So if there was a backup of traffic behind this, it's just going to be belts. So, but that could also be changed. If we really need to, we could tear this wall down and I could, you know, I could snake the the chutes through there to make a bit more room. So that's fine. But post belt, where it turns one thing into bloody, well, how many slots we got down there? 5, 10. It's gonna pull everything apart into like 10 things. I'm assuming it can hold them, and it just sends them out one at a time. God, I hope it can. Well, yeah, no, of course it can. Think about it. If it's gonna unload it, it must just unload one thing at a time. Yeah, surely that'll work. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do we need to create more chute space to Snake to make room for backup? I don't think we will, actually. Yeah, we got plenty there, and I guess the bottleneck in and of itself is just the unloading process one at a time, but until we give it a go, we won't know. Right, then we pass through here left and right, and then we're going to have to get 2 furnaces, which I'm going to keep inside the cooling boundary, because that is the point where they change to pipe, and then the pipe goes out. So this chute will go out as well, and that'll go to the 2 furnaces. And we might be able to arrange it in such a way where it's only a 1x2 space. Maybe. That'd be pretty cool if that was the case. Alright. $10 copper. I'm gonna need some more copper.
Jetpack on.
Anyway, we're coming along. Yeah, apologies if I seem a little bit defensive about it. It's just, you gotta understand, in our relationship, me and you, the community, it's me talking into a microphone, making my little snippets, which are adjacent to a bloody, you know, a voicemail, right? It's a little block of me just spraying out my thoughts, and then you guys get on the keyboard, which, you know, everyone knows that text doesn't really convey tone successfully, so you're trying to get your point across as well. So it's this sort of pen pal relationship in a way, you know what I mean? Having a back and forth of exchange of ideas. It's not impossible, you know, it's been done for time immemorial by our forefathers, but like, you know, it's not as simple as just having a conversation for clarity. And so, when I read through some of these comments, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to give benefit of the doubt, but I also need to cover all bases. So, if you're legitimately confused sometimes about what my build is, but you feel that I'm unfairly suggesting that you might be being facetious or a bad actor, and intentionally being like, oh, I don't understand what Scarlett's doing, when the truth is what you're actually saying is you do understand, you just don't want me to do it that way. You can see what I mean. There are multiple ways to interpret it, and I'm trying to address them all because we've got a pretty good community, and you know, I sort of want to give benefit of the doubt, but I also want to be honest as well. And say that, I don't know, sometimes you do read it and you're like, am I reading between the lines? Am I wrong? What's going on here, sort of thing. Anyway, so I just thought I'd add a little bit of clarity there on the end. Oh wow, I just put a big chunk of copper in, so that's going to take a little while to cook. That's fine. I guess while that's cooking, we'll just pop this furnace down. There's only one type, isn't there? Yeah. Right, so... let's have a look. We might be able to fit 2 sort of side by side. Yeah, we don't really want it there because we don't want any part of it crossing the boundary if we can help it. So that's the lowest I could go unless I wanted to make it lower. I turned that 90 degrees. Okay, so here's a thought. 6. Let's do this one first. Alright, so let's say we can always move the chutes. But let's say we put our unloader like that. I think I need a wrench for that one. Whatever, I'm just getting it out of the way, to be honest. But we did something like this, 90 degrees. Alright. And then hypothetically, we were... Oh shit. Catch it, Superman. Stop falling. I pressed Q by accident. You know what? I probably could have fallen faster if I turned the jetpack off. I don't know if I really want to play that fucking game. Alright, F has changed. Right, so if we had... Right, we might be able to make it 2 by 1, but stacked on top of one another. You see what I'm saying? Something like that. Maybe. Okay, so here's the other thing. If I want to run 2 furnaces, that means I'm going to have to run a second splitter. Do you know what I mean? Like to, yeah, to then split the hydrogen and the ice, oxide, whatever. But we definitely do want to run double furnace, right? I need to split those. It has to happen. There's no two ways about it. Okay, so what we're probably going to get is a little hook shape enclosure. Yeah. I don't think there's any way around it. Crowbar. Where'd me crowbar go? Oh, 5. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll make a hook shape. I think is what we'll do. So this can be the sort of sub furnace area. I should be able to get 2 side by side there. Alright. Let's deal with these potatoes. It's gonna be bloody cooking in here. Oh, Jesus Christ. $80 degrees, eh? Yeah, I don't think the potatoes go that well in that temperature. Probably just drain the whole room at this point, seeing as the potatoes are dead anyway. See how cold the whole mix can get. Yeah, not ideal. Alright, we'll do the old just add water. There we go. But we can't just keep doing that. Not ideal. But we did need to get more gas into the system to potentially make the cooling go better. Because we've only got an absolute wisp of it. Set inward. There we go. How's this going? 90%. Cool, we'll wait for that. We're gonna need another splitter as well. It was this machine, wasn't it? Was it the sorter? Right, yeah, because the other one's the stacker. There you go. Sorter. Yep, cool.
Jetpack on.
Alright. Interesting. Doesn't seem to want a bar of it, eh? Too close. Well, it might end up having to be a 2x2. And we'll just give these furnaces each their own space. Yeah, okay, we could probably put it under here. We'll do like that. Something like that. Central. You know? Cool, we'll do it like that. And then ultimately... we don't have to be too compact now because we know how much space we're going to need. We'll do this, right? Yeah, that'll work. That'll work nicely, I think. Yeah. We'll neaten it up a bit, but essentially we're going to have the belt come through here. It'll get unpacked in here. It'll go in here. Non-meltables, non-state changeables will go out like this chute here. And whoop, go to somewhere else. Don't worry about it. They're going to leave the system. Things that can shift change, you know, ices will go into here. Here they will be split into hydrogen and the other two. Those two chutes will go down to their corresponding furnaces, which just act as button crunching exchanges, liquefiers, I suppose you could call them, or, well, I suppose gasifiers or something. And then they'll have a corresponding pipe output each, and then there you have it, processed into liquid form. And we'll keep that whole 2x2 sealed. And I'll have like an airlock door or something like that for maintenance. Having said that, we may even need to consider how I would get in and move around in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, if needs be. Maybe we can make better use of the space. I'm not sure. Not sure. Because it is vital to have access. Now, I'm alright with just doing this one door and then draining the whole system into a tank. That's fine by me. But I don't know if we're actually going to be able to have enough like maneuver space in here. We may even need to make it a larger room. We might end up having to make it a 2x2x2, you know, add an extra sort of dimension to it in a way. Not really sure. Okay, well, there you have it, team. Bit of progress. Yeah, I know I got bogged down on the sort of, you know, the communication, but I just thought I'd clear the air. I'm an honest guy, I'm never a bad actor, and I'm not a negative person at all, you know? At the end of the day, I'm just trying to play a game that I really, really enjoy, and there seems to be a strong community around me that enjoys it as well, you know? So I just thought I would err on the side of caution and say, hey, look, if you're legitimately confused about what's going on, then I'm always there to try and explain and troubleshoot and all that. But but I also have my concerns that there are bad actors that are sort of trying to steer me in a certain direction because they think they know better. And at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, like, if I want to go in a certain direction, that's my direction to go because it's my series, you know what I mean? So I don't mind taking a bit of feedback and all that. But yeah, I just thought I'd just clear that air about communication, I suppose, and that I'm open to it, but I'm also aware of the pitfalls of this sort of setting and how difficult it can potentially be. Alright team, thanks again for joining me. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I will catch you guys on the next one.